Hi everyone and welcome to this recording of what we're doing in school this week. It's Unit 41 for higher or Unit 44 for foundation, and we're looking at speed, compound measures speed. So how it fits into what we're looking at, this is week 2, so we're looking at this section. Next week we're going to do some work on density and pressure, and week 4, direct and inverse proportion. But for now, we're going to look at speed as in speed, distance and time. As a quick starter, I'd like you to convert the following things into minutes and the second bunch into hours, please. For the second section, it'd be really good if you could write them as a fraction of an hour, or better still, a decimal. That's one of the things we're going to work on today. So have a go at these, pause the video, and I'll go through answers shortly. Okay, so here are the answers. So 1 hour 30 is 90 minutes, an hour 53, and so on. So you've got 60 minutes in an hour. When we're converting these into into hours, you take 60 away to get you 1, and then you're left with 45 minutes. And 45 out of 60 is 0.75 or 3/4. 30 out of 60 is 0.5 or a half. 57 out of 60 is 0.95, and 26 out of 60 is 0.43. So if the time is in hours, it's really important that we try and change it. So if the time is in hours and minutes, it's important we try and change it so that we get the hours as a decimal part. Otherwise, our calculations don't quite work in the same way that you would hope that they would. So if we've got something like this, 2 hours 24, it's going to be 2 point something, and it is not going to be 2.24. So this is the mistake that lots of people make when we're doing this speed, distance, time things. We make an error at this point, and it's important that we try not to, or at least we try to minimize these errors. So for example, what I'm going to suggest that we do is, let's have a think about the actual value that's going to go on here. So what we've got is 24 minutes, but remember it's 24 and it's out of 60. So if you type that on your calculator, when you do 24 out of 60, you're going to get 0.4. So this is 2.4 of an hour. Okay, so it's like I say, I can't stress enough that when we're writing this 2 hours 24 minutes, we don't simply go 2.24, because that is incorrect, whereas this is correct. Okay, so 2 hours. What I would like you to try and do now is have a go at some of these questions. The first section are the easiest ones, the next section a little bit more tricky, and the section at the end is the most challenging. Have a go at least 10, and then say pause the video and I'll go through answers in a second. Okay, and so the answers have appeared here. Be careful if you've got a little bit of rounding. I know, for example, this one, it might not come up as 0.67 on your calculator, but we're rounding to 2 decimal places. Okay, moving on. Let's have a think about what speed is. So when we're talking about speed, it's a measure of how far something has travelled in a particular time. So an example, miles per hour, kilometers per hour, and meters per second. Now what's important here is that if we're dealing in miles and we're dealing in hours, that our units are already in miles and they're in hours, because if not, we're going to have to do a bit of conversion. Same here, kilometers and hours, or if they're in meters, the other value that we need to be in is in seconds. So we're going to do meters per second. So if it's in minutes or if it's in hours, we need to convert it into seconds. So miles per hour, kilometers per hour, meters per second. Okay, now lots of the time when we're seeing these questions, the speed isn't constant across the entire question. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate our average speed. And average speed is simply the total amount of time and the total distance. So we're going to do average speed is total distance travelled and total time taken. And for lots of you, you'll be using the speed, distance, time triangle. You'll have seen this in maths, you'll have seen it in science. We're going to use this all the way through. So speed is distance divided by time. If you're calculating distance, you cover over the top bit and you do speed multiplied by time. And if you're finding time, you do distance divided by speed. A couple of quick examples then. Make sure that we're identifying the right thing. So we're going to start off with our speed, distance, time triangle. We've got speed at the bottom in 30 miles per hour. We've got time is 2 hours, and we're finding the distance. So it's going to be 60. And then think about our units. It's distance that we're doing. So this is going to be 60 miles. For the second one, again, start off with your speed, distance, time triangle. Put in the relevant parts. So we've got 45 miles is the distance. We've got time is 3, and we're working out the speed. So 45 divided by 3 is 15, and it's miles per hour because we're doing miles here and hours here. And then the last one, we've got speed, distance, time. We've got a distance of 1,200. We've got our time, our speed of 300. So divided by 300 gives us an answer of 4, and that is 4 hours. Okay. So questions for you to try by yourself then. Pause the video, have a go, and I'll reveal the answers shortly. Okay, so for the first one, let's just get off my pen. So for the first one, we should have got 48 miles per hour. Be careful here because this is in minutes and you need it to be in hours. We're never going to calculate miles per minute. Time, 6 hours 40 minutes. Again, if you've got something other than 40, look back at what we did at the starter. Remember, you might need to do a bit of conversion. So when we are converting, don't forget that if we've got a decimal number, let's say we've got 0.666 and so on. If you want to know what that is in minutes, you'll times it by 60 and you'll get it back to minutes again. Alternatively, if you're using a calculator with a button on it that looks like this, you can use this as your time button. Again, when we get back to school, I'll explain this in a bit more detail. Moving on to the next answer. So we've got 227.5 miles, 4.2 meters per second, 72.4 miles per hour, 7 hours 36. Again, you might need to do something like this if you've got a decimal that's different to this number here. A distance of 30 miles, and finally 4.4 meters per second. Again, don't forget you're going to have to turn your minutes here into seconds. Okay, final one for you to try then. We've got an extension here. This is a typical exam question. Let's go through it and you can have a go. So using our highlighter, let's highlight all the key bits of information. So we've got 130 miles in total. Roadworks for 25 miles of the journey. And during the roadworks, he's going to be going at 50 miles per hour and 70 miles an hour for the rest of the time. So it's going to be important that we work out what the rest of the distance is. So we're going 25 miles at 50 miles per hour, and you go in the other 105 miles at 70 miles per hour. Okay, so you can work out the values there. I think for the first part, it's going to take him 30 minutes. And for the second part, it's going to take him 1 hour 30 minutes. So that's going to be 2 hours in total. Rob's assumption about his average speed is too high. How does this affect his journey time? It will take him longer. So take him longer is all you need to do there for the mark. Okay, extra work on this topic has been set on class charts. You've got lots of things to do this week. Hopefully this has been useful. And if you need anything, as ever, get in touch. Thanks very much. Bye.